Hey everybody, it's Bram Duffee, and we're talking about communication research methods today, looking at rhetorical criticism. You know, today's lecture on rhetoric and rhetorical criticism is really a cool area of study that can trace its roots back to ancient Greece. And it does still remain a vital part of communication studies today. Rhetoric is often defined as the art of persuasion, using communication strategically to convince others and achieve specific goals. It's a discipline closely linked to fields like sociology, anthropology, and religion because it involves the understanding and the analyzing of how people respond to symbols. So, rhetorical criticism, which examines artifacts, and artifacts are anything that's like an act of communication from a specific time or a specific context. So, that artifact is a key part of this field, being able to identify that. And it's true that while speeches are the most common artifacts that are usually studied, things like sermons and essays and advertisements, also song lyrics, are things that are commonly available to be analyzed. So rhetorical scholars can approach these kinds of artifacts as either a popular critic who rely on personal preference, or maybe a rhetorical critic who uses theoretical kinds of frameworks. The first step in rhetorical criticism is to select a relevant artifact to analyze. And remember, this is a communication event, something that happened at a particular time at a particular place. And this could be something that you find interesting or maybe kind of perplexing, but as long as it has a clear reason for exam. So perhaps you're intrigued by how the presidential speech swayed public opinion, or maybe how a city building became a cultural landmark. The artifact should be something that communicates a message or holds significance, like an advertisement, a song, a piece of architecture, like I mentioned. But we in communication studies think about the intersections of things. And one of the things that I have studied a lot of in my career is this intersection between the communication event that happens during emergencies for paramedics. So paramedics walk into an emergency event and they are repeating that 911 call over and over, right? They may do a few 911 calls a day. And so that kind of event happens at a specific time in a specific place. And so that would be an artifact for study, and one of the main things that I've studied. So once you've chosen an artifact, the next step is to provide this detailed description. That's going to involve setting the stage for your analysis by explaining the context in which that whole artifact exists. And so you describe when and why it was created and who made it and the elements that stand out, like language or visual design. And so the more vivid your description, the easier it is for others to understand the foundation of your analysis. And I have to say that when we use the word artifact, I think about something that I might have in my office as a relic or something that sits on a shelf. And it certainly can be that. But more commonly in communication studies, we are thinking about communication events that occur or situations that could commonly occur to someone. And so as you delve into your own analysis, I want you to consider developing focused research questions. And so reflect on how the artifact sort of affects the different aspects, like the creator, the audience, the situation, or the message itself. So you're really creating this full view and full understanding. And so, for example, with maybe a beauty product campaign, when I was in PR school, I did a PR campaign for Suave. So if we use Suave, you might question how the use of certain imageries that they have in their beauty product campaign, how some of those imageries influence the perceptions of the beauty, or how repeated messages impact audiences' beliefs about the ideal look or body type. So if Suave made a particular hair gel, that hair gel could, with the right influence, permeate the market, right? And so it does that by shaping the image. So, or possibly. So once you've chosen an artifact, once you've chosen a communication event, the next step is to sort of put together a framework. And so the appropriate rhetorical framework for theories come in a lot of different shapes. So let's focus on the three most common methods, though. All right. So Neo-Aristotelian criticism is also known as classical or traditional criticism, and it's typically applied to speeches. It examines the different canons of rhetoric, like organization, style, delivery, memory. And so another approach, though, is metaphor criticism. And metaphor criticism is where the critics look for metaphors within that artifact and then analyze the messages that are put out there and see how those messages are used to persuade an audience. So that would be like metaphor criticism. Fantasy theme analysis is another one that's kind of interesting. It's also known as symbolic convergence theory. And symbolic convergence theory explores how communication shapes the perceptions of reality in the artifacts that are being described. Other popular methods include social movement criticism, genre criticism, and feminist criticism, among others. Each offers a unique lens through which to analyze rhetoric and its impact. When organizing rhetorical criticism, it's important to remember that the artifacts that can be interpreted in various ways. So unlike scientific research, rhetorical criticism isn't judged by objective standards, but it's by the strength of the arguments that are supporting its conclusions. So this involves a detailed description of the artifact and the context in which it was created and the rhetorical theory that guides the analysis. So discussing other research that use the same theory and critiquing the artifact within that framework is also an important kind of step because it gives you more to work with. And so you want to definitely also explore the implication of what that criticism that you're offering means, right? Because if you want to show the what's in it for me and how does that apply to society. Rhetoric is not just about influencing others. And that's one of the things that's critical about thinking about rhetorical criticism. It really can have the power to shape the perceptions of reality. And while sometimes it may carry negative connotations like being deceptive or lacking substance, it also has powerful aspects. So by understanding rhetorical criticism, you can use it effectively and appreciate its role in communication and the broader impact on society, especially when we know that when we talk about issues in the media, when we talk about issues that come from some kind of substance, we are taking a critical perspective. So thank you for joining me in this exploration of this field that continues to influence our understanding of human action, interaction, and persuasion.